Hello everyone. Hi, bonjour à tous. Buenos días a todos. I really hope that you understand, that you can hear us. We welcome you at the Université Rennes 2 here in France. So thank you very much for joining us. We know that we are a lot of people. We are now more than 100 people. So it's really, really amazing already. Thank you very much for your presence. So we are going to start. My name is Noemi García Arjona. I am the coordinator for the SCORE research part at the European webinar. And we are on the International Day. This is very, very important day because this is International Day for the elimination of racial discrimination. So we are really, really happy to also to do this in this special moment. The SCORE project, we are going to talk to you about a little more in specific detail. This SCORE project is Sporting Cities Opposing Racism and in sport, and is more at local municipalities. So we are going to, today we're going to present the main results of a survey that we have conducted all these last months. And also we are going to have three very interesting experience from Italy, from Germany, and also from France that can give you more insight about the possibilities and the types of policies that we can, and actions that we can conduct. So I think it's all for me. As you can see here, we have a very intense program today because we have 2 hours, but we have a lot of things to do. First of all, we are going to welcome the coordinators of this event and of this SCORE project at the European Commission. They are going to be with us. Thank you, Manon. Then we are going to present the results. We are going to have half an hour, and also we are going to introduce to a tool that we have been working on. Is an interactive map of actions and methodologies that we can also find and explore for you to inspire you and to do if we can use it for your own context. Then we're going to listen to the 3 European experience, as I told you before. And last but not least, we are going to have a roundtable with also partners and colleagues from here, and just to discuss and having a little more time to discuss in further. So yeah, we are going to start with this welcome presentation, this welcome session. And we have the honor to welcome Vania Bonalberti, which is the project advisor at the European Commission. She's our advisor. She's the person who is helping us to carry on this European project. Then we're going to have Francisco Javier Santos Gomez, which is the Deputy Mayor for Sports and Getafe City Council, which is the partner coordinator of the SCORE project in Madrid, in Getafe. And then we are going to have François Legendre, which is Deputy Director of the VIPS laboratory, in which we are working on, and also member of the SCORE project. So I give you the floor. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Vania, if you want to start.
Okay. Yes, good morning. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't know how to, I would like to put my video on, but I don't have the button, sorry. Can you allow the video for me, please?
We can hear, it's not a problem.
Okay, I wanted to put the video on, but I don't have any functionality to do it.
We don't find you, Vania. Where are you? But we can hear you, so it's not a problem.
I lower. I raised my hand so that you could see where I was in the chat, probably.
Okay, we still, even if we cannot see you, we can hear you. So please.
Okay, I'll go on then.
Yeah, Vania, we can hear you. Please go on.
Yes, I think that you see.
Okay, I can see you.
I was
Carlos Núñez. This is Vania, but you have a different name.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. And sorry for this technical problem. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je pourrais parler en français aussi. Je vois que vous êtes en majorité à Rennes. Muy buenos días. Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be there. I would have liked to be there in person, but at least online. It's a pleasure to intervene from Brussels. I introduced myself, but thank you for the introduction. I work in the European Agency for Culture, Education and Audiovisual, called EACEA, which is an executive agency of the European Commission. And this agency, we are in charge of selecting and managing all the networks of towns actions, all the programs and projects from the networks of towns. In this context, we fund the SCORE project. We are happy to do it. This project that gathers us today with many partners and many countries from all over Europe. So really congratulations for that. This SCORE project is really for us very important because it aims at creating a sort of coalition of European cities to promote really inclusive sport, and especially fighting against racism and xenophobia, and which is for us at the core of the vision of Europe. I wanted to share a little bit with you today what is this vision of Europe, which is a Europe that we want, where people are there in all their diversity and equally. Sport is for us not only useful to promote healthy lifestyle, let's say, but it's really also for us a powerful tool to promote social inclusion, especially as the SCORE project does towards marginalized groups, including migrants, specifically migrants and ethnic minorities. And really, it's really a powerful tool to fight racism and not the opposite. And also gender inequalities, for us, this is important. And to counter hate speech against migrants, for instance. So this is for us a crucial project that we want to promote in every way. Sport, in this sense, is definitely for us then a wonderful means to promote our European values, as I was saying. So equality, tolerance, solidarity, inclusiveness, and so on. So this vision of the European Union is implemented in different ways, especially by the European Commission, but very specifically with specific actions and projects that are funded. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of them, two or three of them. First of all, the dialogue that the European Union has with the member states and sport organizations. Every year there's a work plan on sport from the EU, and recently the one that has been adopted really specifically focuses on integrity and values in sport. So I wanted to highlight that. Secondly, there's also a nice award that you might know in your sector that the European Commission launches every year, which is called Be Inclusive EU Sport Awards. And there the European Commission every year basically gives a prize to organizations that really use the power of sport to improve social inclusion, as this project. And then, of course, the EU is funding a lot of projects and programs, actions and organizations through the program that you might know, certainly the Erasmus+, especially from the university, you might know it very well, which is for us the main EU funding instrument for funding sport actions. And then I would like to mention also that the EU Gender Equality Strategy 21-25 has also clearly mentioned gender equality in sport as a central concept, as a central principle. And this is crucial for us, for the European Commission. And the Commission has established also a specific high-level group on gender equality in sport, which is also very important to underline. Your project, which is called SCORE, is really at the heart of this vision. And what is interesting is that it can really serve as an example to other towns, helping, I would say, to bring a positive change in a sustainable manner. That's why the exchanges that you also promote, the exchanges between different towns, countries in the EU, and sharing of good practices is exactly what we aim with our Networks of Towns program. And it's exactly what you're doing today. So this is really at the heart of our actions and what we are doing. I would like to thank the municipality of Getafe, which is the coordinator of the SCORE project, as well as all the 12, because it's a big project, 12 partners that you have in the SCORE project. In particular, today, the University of Rennes, that has carried out this study that is presented today, which is a study that compares, as you were saying, the local experiences in Europe on sport for inclusion and prevention of racism. And today it's even more important. It's even the perfect day to do it because, as you said already, we are on the International Day for the fight against racial discrimination. So it's really a great moment to do that. So we are looking forward to the outcome of this study. I wish you really a successful event today with interesting discussions and exchanges. And I really thank you for your attention and for inviting me to attend this online event. I hope next time it will be in presence. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Vania. Thank you very much for your words. It's very, very kind for you. Now we're going to pass with the word to Francisco Javier Santos Gómez at Getafe, Madrid, little farther from Rennes, but still close in the heart.
Sí, hola.
Hola, buenas tardes, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, buenas tardes.
Change into channel of French. Voy a changer parce qu'il va parler en español. Francisco, cuando quieras la palabra.
De acuerdo, muchas gracias. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Es un placer para nosotros poder participar hoy aquí con vosotros en esta reunión del proyecto SCORE. Permítanme, claro, que hable de Getafe. Getafe como una ciudad diversa y como así lo pudisteis comprobar en el anterior foro presencial que se desarrolló en nuestra ciudad. Una diversidad que es universal, donde todas las personas, independientemente de sus habilidades o sus creencias, tienen cabida en todos los ámbitos de la vida de la ciudad. Una ciudad que utiliza como herramienta de cohesión social, integración de la diversidad y respeto en unos valores de convivencia. Está utilizando el deporte. Getafe tiene un programa de actividad física para mayores donde participan más de 2.000 vecinos. Tiene un programa de escuelas deportivas municipales donde hay más de 3.500 niños apuntados, donde 1.700 son niñas. Getafe trabaja por la salud de todos los vecinos a través de la actividad física. El programa Movimiento y Salud, que es un programa contra la obesidad. El programa de parques activos, que utiliza la actividad física en espacios al aire libres, o el programa Mujer Activa para mujeres que han pasado por un tratamiento de cáncer de mama, que es un programa premiado por el Ministerio de Consumo. Tiene un programa de fragilidad para personas mayores, o tiene un programa de recuperación del tratamiento de cáncer de próstata. Y próximamente pondremos en marcha el programa de actividad física contra la soledad no deseada. Todos estos programas que tiene sobre salud el Ayuntamiento de Getafe, la Delegación de Deportes, están en colaboración con Salud Pública, con Atención Primaria, el Hospital Universitario de Getafe y, claro, la Delegación de Deportes del Ayuntamiento de Getafe. Getafe durante el año 2022, que ha sido Ciudad Europea del Deporte, se ha puesto el listón muy alto. Nos hemos convertido junto con Málaga en la ciudad de España que más ha trabajado por la integración de las personas a través del deporte. Competiciones de carácter nacional, con vistas en cuanto al trabajo por la discapacidad y la inclusión, como han sido los torneos, por ejemplo, los 2 torneos de pádel en silla de ruedas que hemos hecho en la ciudad, o el Campeonato de España de tenis de mesa inclusivo, o un Campeonato de España también de rugby en sillas, o ya el Campeonato Nacional de Fútbol 7 unificado, son ejemplos claros del trabajo sobre la adaptación, la discapacidad y la inclusión del deporte en la sociedad. Hay programas que conveniamos con las federaciones deportivas. En este caso tenemos un programa de tenis y pádel conveniado con la Federación Madrileña de Deportes para Personas con Discapacidad. O tenemos eventos solidarios como la Semana Solidaria del Deporte, donde 27 actividades en esa semana se programan para recoger más de 5 toneladas de alimentos para las personas más vulnerables. O carreras solidarias a favor del autismo o para la investigación de enfermedades raras. Adaptamos las instalaciones para deportistas con trastornos del espectro autista o la eliminación de barreras arquitectónicas, que han sido unos ejes fundamentales dentro de nuestro trabajo. Durante el año pasado hemos trabajado de manera constante con el Alto Comisionado del Gobierno de España contra la Pobreza Infantil. Hasta 3 eventos hemos desarrollado junto con el Alto Comisionado. Uno de ellos, el partido de fútbol más largo y solidario, una semana de fútbol ininterrumpido con nuestro vecino, la ciudad de Leganés, donde incluso llegamos a conseguir el sello que nos dio el Comité Olímpico Español como un evento sostenible plus por la parte solidaria del evento. Getafe fue la única parada que hizo la Copa del Mundo también de fútbol para exhibirse dentro también de ese marco de colaboración con el Alto Comisionado contra la pobreza infantil. O también la presentación a cargo del presidente del gobierno del plan contra la obesidad infantil, algo tan importante que es una lacra ahora mismo en nuestras vidas. Getafe es la única ciudad del mundo, y eso lo puedo repetir con gran orgullo, Getafe es la única ciudad del mundo que tiene una instalación concebida para personas refugiadas, el Centro Deportivo Alejandro Blanco. Y esto se ha conseguido a través de una colaboración entre el Comité Olímpico Español, la Comisión Española de Ayuda al Refugiado y el Ayuntamiento de Getafe. Este centro recibió el año pasado la visita del presidente del Comité Olímpico Internacional, Thomas Bach, presidente también del COE, Alejandro Blanco, y Pau Gasol con la Fundación Pau Gasol. Y está siendo un ejemplo dentro de la propuesta de creación por muchísimos países. Sin más que añadir, agradecer de nuevo la participación en este foro, poder explicar cómo trabajamos en Getafe y también desear lo mejor posible para el proyecto SCORE y que entre todos seamos capaces de conseguir avances importantes. Es decir, que el trabajo que nosotros hemos hecho en Getafe sin duda ha conseguido que Getafe sea una ciudad mejor. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Francisco Javier, por tus palabras. It was very nice to hear from you, and thank you very much, because I know this is a big effort for the Getafe Council. We know also from Carlos that to manage these kind of projects, and this is, I think, quite inspiring what you have said. So thank you very much. And last but not least, my colleague François Legendre, which is on my left, is the Deputy Director of the laboratory and also member of the SCORE project. So the floor is yours. Contribute.
Thank you, Noemi. Mr. Deputy Mayor, Mrs. Bonalberti, ladies and gentlemen behind your screens, I would have liked to welcome you under the sun of rain, but I will content myself with welcoming you to this webinar organized by the VIPS laboratory. Thank you for taking part. I would also like to apologize for the director of VIPS, Michael Attali, who is unable to attend today. Before saying a few quick words about our laboratory, I would also like to thank the DRV service of the University of Rennes, in particular the Europol, which, through Manon Olivard, is closely involved in this project and help us a lot to carry it out. I would therefore like to say a few words about the VIPS laboratory and more precisely about the meaning of our participation in the SCORE project. First of all, the issues of racism and inclusion of people in vulnerable situations have been at the heart of our scientific project for years. Generally speaking, we are 25 full researchers and about 20 doctoral students, and I believe that each of our works is linked to the creation of social links, socialization, and exclusion. Our scientific project is structured around 2 axes. The first deals with the socialization processes linked to sport activities, and the second with innovation and policy issues in the field of sport. This involvement in the SCORE project was therefore an obvious choice for the laboratory, but it's also an opportunity for us to do research as we have been conceiving it for years. I mean, research that is in touch with institutional realities and with actors in the fields, whether they are associations, politicians, or institutions. Our research work, whether in sociology, social psychology, history, or law, is all subject to partnerships with actors involved in the field. This is how we manage to ask research questions that correspond to social issues. And this is also how we are able to translate scientific results into available and potentially useful knowledge. Therefore, I would like to congratulate the stakeholder of this project for recognizing and considering our social usefulness by including us in this project and by being present today. Finally, I would like to highlight the small team in the laboratory that has been working on this project for several months. This is obviously Noémie Garcia Arjona, who is the leader of the team, but also David Le Foll, teacher researcher in social psychology, Pim Verschuren, teacher researcher in management science, Anthony Forestier, Julien Puech, and Eléa Chiron, all three doctoral students in sociology, and Yaya Diouf, master student in sociology and intern in the laboratory. Congratulations for the work already done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. I wish you an excellent afternoon of work.
Merci beaucoup, François. Thank you very much. You can applaud. Thank you very much, Vania, Francisco, Javier, and François, for your words. It's something that we inspires also for us for the effort that we have done until arriving today at this event. So we are really happy to welcome you. I'm going to start. This is my turn now. Just because we are going to, it's like the second part of this event with a brief presentation of the SCORE project. Even we have already started. We started on summer 22. Today we have a lot of webinars internal with partnership and the stakeholders. And today we have this big event in which we have the early results of our survey. But of course, SCORE we can say it's at the early stage of the activity. I'm going to show you the main results, and then I'm going to present you the interactive map. So this is the idea. Very briefly, what is the SCORE? Because we have already talked about, but the main objective, the main aim of this project is to create an inclusive alliance, a consortium of different cities to prevent racism, xenophobia, and intolerance in sport. We know a lot of evidence from professional football, sport in general, but mainly football, about racism and how it is present also in the different competitions. We know also about national campaigns and against discrimination, but our main question is what happens at local level? What happened to the local stakeholders, local grassroots sports coaches and people that are working every day with these problems? So the SCORE project has two main objectives: to combat discrimination, but also to analyze and to use sport as a means, as a vehicle for integrating people from different diversity, culturally diverse. So as you can see here, Vania has already talked about, we have many partners. It's a very, very ambitious program. We have 13 partners from 6 different countries. And there's just not only scholars, of course, we have municipalities, local administration and ministries, associations, and higher education centers. We are now at the early stage of the project. As you can see, Rennes 2 University was in charge of conducting this analysis, this survey. And today we are going to collect, share, and methodologies, so we can also share with you. But again, this is just the beginning of this journey, just the beginning of the project. So please do not hesitate to join us. Stay tuned, because we are a lot of things that are going to happen next, especially about the projects and the results that we have found out, to use it for designing local strategies and training also for sport practitioners, and also the creation of shared strategies. Just to give you a little context of the survey, we found a lot of literature that has already worked on how to which are the activities that are useful or more successful to fight against racism or to enhance integration through sport. Most of them are focused on the feasibility of these sport programs and which are the initiatives to fight against racism. It is true that some of them are underlying the need of the evidence for this impact. What are the tools, the indicators? How can we evaluate what we do every day in these everyday practices? And also because migration phenomenon has new challenges. For example, the new asylum seekers from newer contexts, for example, the idea of the intersectional perspective, because we also have to know that migration is just only alone. There's also the gender perspective and the and sometimes it's also a problem of discrimination, and also, for example, the online racism that we have seen, for example, at the Euro 20 about some English players that have been arrested on Twitter because they fail on the final. So this is the idea for the survey. We have tried to really create a collaborative opportunity to work together in this survey with different partners. So all the partners, it was just as for example the university, but of course just scholars, but of course all the other stakeholders and partners that have been working together. We also have meetings with scientific partners. So thank you again, Wanda and Jonathan from the University of Graz and the Universidad de La Laguna, because for your help, and internal meetings with the RENS team that François has already talked about. So the questionnaire has three main parts. We have wondered in which consists the programs as the first part of the questionnaire. To whom, meaning which is the participants or the target for these programs, and also who is organizing these programs. We have obtained a lot of answers, but some of them are incomplete. This is our final sample. Of course, this is overrepresented because we have the Spanish partners, which are more than the others. We have done a quantitative analysis for the main variables, more statistic, but also an open coding qualitative part, because it was interesting also to know more detail and more perspective. Today, and this is the important thing, we are presenting the potentialities of this survey. This is more exploratory, preliminary results. So this is also the interest for showing you, for those who don't know us, which are the possibilities of this tool. How can we share, and how can you join us in this core project? So there are going to be local seminars that will be held by partners. Today we give you just a big picture of the results, but we're going to have the opportunity to talk more and to have more time for analyzing the results. So we're going to see a little more specific detail the results of the survey. As you can see, almost half of the programs use multiple formats. They offer a sports program, but also they offer awareness campaigns and workshops all together. Just only 20% of the results offer just training sessions. For example, there are some programs that offer sport technical training for professional aims for migrants and refugees, so they can acquire sport technical skills for their professional future. And it's also more frequent to find programs that answer to both aims: promotion of inclusion and also prevention of racism. Only fewer programs are focused exclusively on the prevention aims. If we have a look at the narratives, what is inside the objective and the perspective of these programs, most of the programs are aimed to the first objective, social integrations, but also it's also interesting to explore the skill category, because many of these programs are working on social skills, language skills, professional skills. It's quite interesting to find that. Some of them as kind of an all-in-one program definition, because they use social integration, but they also develop other objectives, like, for example, violence prevention, or employment job application training, or even wellness and healthcare. There are also many forms of discrimination which are being quoted in the analysis: racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, or Roma racism for the Gypsy Roma community, and also intersection with sexism or even inclusion related to the handicap programs. And it's true that intercultural umbrella is the most cited, as one of the most cited approach, both for the skills, competences, or dynamics. If we look at the more specifically how these programs are offered, again, not all programs use sport as main activity or as main goal, as you can see here, and 71% of them uses or offer them as leisure, so non-competition activities, or inside the sport programs or inside the sport competition. And this is interesting because for some programs, as we have given a little more detail, the practitioners criticize the fact that official sport system does not allow to register unaccompanied or asylum seeker players because of their legal status. We are also interested to know how often these programs were offered, and we found that it really depends on the aims of the program. Only 1 of 3 are regular weekly programs. Just a few are punctual, and almost half of them take place once a year with no frequently basis. It is also rare to find programs that are offered in formal spaces. Most of them uses local public sport equipment. And as we will see also in the limitation section, some of these programs talks about that and find difficulties to find adapted schedules for migrants, the working hours especially, or because of the geographical location, because they are very far from the place they live, and the sport equipment is not very next to them. If we have a little more detail about the actions, the most important category that we found in the survey is the sport training and practice. Also, we have participation in sport local leagues, competitions, or the organization of matches and events. If we have a look at the physical activities or sports program, the most quoted activity is football, which is not a surprise. But we also find some examples of a sport that came from migrant countries, for example, cricket for Afghan refugees, and also other sports like, for example, swimming, in the case of migrant that has suffered from trauma after their sea journey. So they help them with water skills so they can be more self-confident and be more aware. If we look at the non-sport activities, meaning the category of cultural activity and training, we can also develop or classify in the 2 main objectives. For the first objective, promotion of integration, we also find most frequently education, employment, or legal skills, meaning that these programs also, this is very broad category, but we find mainly language skills and academic support for these young people, especially young adults, but also, for example, digital literacy, job search, or even legal counseling. For example, they offer nutrition, hygienic eating habits for the body awareness and self-esteem, as I told you before. There's also an interesting element about the local stakeholder and networking, because some of the programs are promote the sport, the access to the sport local clubs. They facilitate the mobility to migrants inside the municipality, for example, which, as I told you, it was one of the limits of the barriers for accessing to sport, and then also to connect and aware sport governing bodies and local coaches and institutions about this phenomenon. Some programs, as I told you, also use sport as opportunity for job opportunity for migrants. They train them for to become referees or coaches or monitor. This is one of the examples. I will not be, maybe it's more embodied example. It's not just figures and quantitative analysis. I just give you some of the examples because we have more than 100 already in the map, but I will like maybe just illustrate in a more evident detail. One of the examples, for example, cuida tu cuerpo, cuida tu mente, so take care of your body and soul, from the Basket Federation. I think it's the 13th edition already, and they use basketball with basketball qualified coaches to learn migrants, especially migrant women, but also in mixed groups, for example, with Spanish, but also people from other minorities, and Roma women also in Spain, which are not migrant, but are Roma. They train them to basketball practice, but they also have workshops for health and nutrition, especially for these women that some of them they are in a vulnerable situation. And also, for example, one example of adaptation is to have a kindergarten service, so they can go there with their babies and practice at the same time. So, because we know that, especially for women, this is one of the most important barriers that we can find. And another example is the FIRES project in Iris in France, the French Badminton Federation too, in which they have already created a guidelines for partners, local sport partners, in which they can help them to create their own program for refugees. So they help this manual, this guideline. This is in French, but I think it will be easier to find the information with different stages to create this program about the definition of objective, how to prepare, how to launch the project, how to do the final evaluation, which can be also useful for that. If we go to the second aim, for prevention of racism, we also find a lot of different programs and actions. You can see here most of them are awareness or educational campaigns and workshops. Other examples are more about motivational speeches or debates with athletes to different targets. Could be a whole society, more about local society, or even scholar education at the educational level, of students. And some of them also, they create their own guidelines, or they propose it in a different way, like exhibitions. And I give you here some examples of that. For example, Graines de Supporters, de la Compagnie de Trimaran in France, they create and they use theater to aware about the racism in sport. And they go to the schools and they talk about the racism in a different way. They have the support, of course, of the Ministry of Sport and also the Delegation for Fighting Against Racism here in France. But also we have a good example, for example, the Football Association of Ireland, that have created their own guidance manual for intercultural dialogue. And for example, here you can find also the possibilities to define racism, also to explain for the to the referees or the coaches how to deal with in case they have a problem, or they have to face racism or an act of discrimination within the event or the match or their own team. A little more about the participants. Here we find this is more about the question how the target is defined by programs. It's kind of more implicit than explicit. We found that they try kind of homogenize sometimes the category of migrants. We didn't know which are specifically addressed to. In many cases, as I told you, even in the program, they have already answered to the survey. It is not explicit, so we really don't know. But it's true that most of the priorities is youth male minor migrants, even if, as most of the survey respondent, they talk about a mixed programs, so men and women. But of course, we see this difference too. An example for that, for example, for unaccompanied minors, it's the Premece project in Spain, in the city of Ceuta, in which most of the minors who came from Maghreb, they are on the city Ceuta streets after they cross the border, Spanish border, and they are in a very precarious, very marginal situation. So this project accompany them. They help them to avoid crime, also to the drug abuse, but also to give them healthy habits, or in terms also of physical activity and sport. And about the organization, so the third part of my presentation is about we found here a lot of different types of actors that really are organizing or aiming at these programs or events or campaigns. Most of these respondents declared that they are both sports organization, but also social civil society bodies. This is because also some projects are organizing as a partnership. So the partnerships also is very large because we have partnerships from material, financial help. In most of the cases, we found this kind of mixed public and private partnership because we have funding from public local authorities, national and even European. But they also have private collaborations, for example, from the sport federations, but also private commercial sponsorship, charity events, or their own resources. Regarding the evaluation, this is I want you to just to warn you about, because here at this question and the next one we have very few respondents. We only have 35 answers, so we wanted to be very precautious on the interpretation of data. But in terms of indicators, as you can see here, is more about the feedback of participants, which is more important to know, well, how things are doing and are we doing well. Even for those programs of integration, but also for prevention. Also, the number of participants, meaning it's a quantitative indicator, is also important for this action and integration through sport programs. And also the feedback of trainers and institutions. Media impact has been also quoted, but only present at aim 1. And concerning the methods, you can find here both quantitative or qualitative. We can find no difference between the two types of programs. And last but not least, I hope you didn't study the siesta in Spain or in France or in another country. We are really interested on analyzing the limits and difficulties of the programs. Also because next steps on the score is really focused on that, knowing what is left, what are the gaps that we should maybe working on. And as you can see, most of the programs, no matter what kind of country, no matter what kind of program, of type of programs, they talk about the same thing, about the lack of funding, the lack of economical constraints. Also human resources difficulties are quoted, for example, in terms of salary or volunteer staff. This is kind of the fragile temporary aspect of some of these programs. Sometimes, but not very present, though. They quoted the lack of training in diversity or intercultural competence of staff members that have been pointed out. And last but not least, also in terms of the sport equipment and material, also because some of these sport equipment that are not available or the schedules are so rigid because of the working hours of migrants. And also the limitation for accompanying migrants managed to enter this federal sport system. So this is just the results. Again, this is just preliminary exploratory results. We can do more in terms of your own projects if you haven't talked about us. But as you can see here, this is the main ideas that we can consider as a conclusion. Most of the aims or objectives regarding migrants and refugees are aiming at the social integration, but they're not very specific. This is what we lack still in terms of actions and method. We really need to know more. This is sometimes too general. Sport is part of the action. It's not sometimes not central because they want to also accompany these migrants in another way. So it's interesting because we didn't find a lot of examples for coming from sport governing bodies. So as we interpreted data is that there is also a need to encourage and to enhance sport governing bodies and local authorities to be more active in these programs. And also, as I told you before, this final part, need of long-term economic and human resources needed or in terms of carry on the programs. So this is the end for the survey. Maybe you have many questions. I'm sure maybe you can have, but as we have in this model of webinar, I really please you to ask the questions after, in which we are going to have the discussion roundtable. So if you have any question, you have of course you can already put it into the into the chat, and we are going to be Anthony who's going to kind of also discuss with us. Just a few minutes, just not to go very much further. We have already activated the tool, the interactive map, you can explore right now. If you go to our website, scoreproject.net, and then you can have here the map in which you can find already, if you hadn't answered yet to the survey, you can do it. We have in 6 languages, different languages. Also, you can zoom and explore the programs on all Europe. You can see north and south, east and west. We are all the programs are everywhere. And also, if you want to filter the programs by 3 different filters: country, sport, and type of programs. This is the opportunity to do that. I really want to congratulate and thank Carlos and Oscar that help us for the informatique, for all these technical elements. So thank you very much. It is the idea that we wanted to present today. Okay, I'll go on talking, but not for very long. Right now, we are going to go on working. I think we are not that bad on timing, about the 3 European experiences. As I told you before, we have the great honor to welcome them today. And they are going to present us their work. So thank you very much for joining us today. We have Stefan Schirmer, which came from the football club Ente Bagdad in Germany. He's going to present on first. This is also the reason why we want to use different, or to come different projects. Then we are going to have Daniela Conti from the Mondiali Antirazzisti, but is from Italy, from the USP, Unione Sportiva per Tutti. That I know that they have many other elements and action more than the Mondiali. And finally, we were going to have Gabriela Mattei from the Council of Europe, and she's going to present us the project of coalition of different projects, so another level, more international European level, the project combating hate speech in sport. So the floor is yours, Stefan. If you want to start, normally it is everything good for us.
Okay, I'm on air.
C'est parfait, ouais. Alles
okay,
gut.
Alles gut. Yeah, this is, I'm going to make the icebreaker for the presentations. And first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It is an honor for us to be here. And second of all, a few words about us, the FC Ente Bagdad, or Baghdad Ducks FC. We founded the club in 1973, so 50 years ago. We were young, we were still having long hair, and went to see the girls all over Europe by Interrail ticket. And we wanted to found a hobby football club. Looking for a name, we had different proposals, but in the end, Ente Bagdad, Baghdad Ducks made it. And why? Well, Baghdad Ducks, because Baghdad was synonymous with fairy tales from 1001 Nights, and we wanted to play fabulous football. And the duck is an animal with positive connotations that always floats on top and never sinks. So it was the perfect name for us. Today we have 25 nationalities in our club, and yeah, we are quite an international hobby football club. Next slide, please. Our motto, as you can read on top, is "You'll never waddle alone." You probably know this football song, "You'll never walk alone," but ducks don't walk, they waddle, so that's why. And this motto means that our commitment is designed to be sustainable. So not really the usual project work that ends after 2 or 3 years, and we help wherever we can. And by the way, we are all working as unpaid volunteers. So our main goal is integration of people, young people, elderly people coming from abroad, besides playing football, by the way. And we always have fun and like to play together. We always fight against discrimination, racism, and all negative isms you can imagine. So that is something we are very much concentrated on. And as already said, we have a long-term commitment. So we work over years and not over many years and not over months. Yeah, next slide, please. We have a little welcome program for refugees, and it started as early as 2014, when the first refugees came to Germany. We approached the organizations that offered accommodation to the refugees. We introduced ourselves, offered football as a low threshold service, and to distract people for at least a few hours a week and have fun. And integration for us means that we want to bring locals and refugees together and not just putting together a team of refugees. Since March 2022, last year, since 1 year, we also have a lot of Ukrainian mothers with their children in our ranks, so that the age range of our players now starts at 4 years. The youngest is 4 years old from Ukraine, and ends at the age of around 70. So it's quite a widespread age rank. What are we doing? We do a lot of things to support these people. We have these integrative teams. We always strive to have a familiar atmosphere. So it's like a big family. It's not like a football club and this team plays against another one. That's all. No, it's a big family. We focus, as we will see later, on personal development and on support in daily life. And support in daily life means almost everything you can imagine. And we support the refugees with free membership, so that they don't have to pay for membership, they don't have to pay for sportswear and for participation in events. And next slide, please. The activities to integrate the refugees are split in 2 parts. One is on the pitch, on the football pitch, and the other one is alongside the pitch. So on the pitch, as already said, we train adult, youngster, and children refugees together with the locals. They get free admission and sports equipment and everything. We have a very close relationship with our local Bundesliga club, professional football players of Mainz 05. And we are happy to welcome from time to time professional football players on our pitch. And they do training with us, they play with us. The young people make selfies with them and things like that. And we also participate in local and regional football tournaments together with these refugees in a mixed team, refugees and locals always. Next slide, please. Now, besides football, which is our main activity, the support of these refugees, children, youngsters, and adult people. We do a lot of things besides the pitch, alongside the pitch. We try to show them the town, the region, everything. So we do guided city tours. We organize cooking evenings, for example, which is very much appreciated by them, because they can then represent their country they are very proud of, and they cook for everybody. There is music from their home countries, and we have a big party together, dancing together and everything. So that's a very nice thing. We have our famous cultural kick trips. That means that we organize every other year a longer trip to the home countries of our players. So we already been in Syria in 2005. We've been in Bolivia. We've been in Israel. We've been in many European countries. We've been in Morocco. And this summer we are planning a trip to Rwanda in Africa. So we are doing all these things just to create that family spirit and to see the home countries of our players, and that's why we do that. And this is not just a tourist tour, because you learn much more about the local people during these cultural kick trips than just having a tourist guide. A lot of parties, Christmas parties, beach parties, birthday parties. As you can see on the slide, there was the last Christmas party celebrated with Ukrainians, Afghans, and Syrians, Palestinians. We were skating in the ice rink. On Easter, we have some things. On Carnival, we do things, and yeah, we and in summer there's every year a big beach party. We organize trips to go away to away games with our local Bundesliga club, and we get free tickets for their home games and things like that. And some of the youngsters, some of the teenagers also can be ball boys at the Bundesliga game, so they are extremely proud of that, and the pictures of that go around the world. That's always a very nice thing. Next slide, please. So we do a lot of things to support the young people, and these things are not only related to sports and to football. And in this context, the vocational orientation courses are particularly noteworthy, because those teenagers from Middle East, for example, Africa, they come from cultures where a boy at 14, 15 years goes to his father, grandfather, or uncle who shows him what to do, and that is then his profession for the rest of his life. So we get the boys to reflect on themselves, ask them what they like to do, what is close to their hearts, and show them the opportunities in Germany. And so we organized many of these vocational orientation courses, and place the young people in internships, apprenticeships, help them find a job, a flat, a relocation. And we also organize training to become trainer or to become referees, in order to integrate them even more in the voluntary work we are doing. Next slide, please. We have some problems. That's normal. For example, a great demand. Sometimes there are more people coming to us than we can take care of, can welcome, and so we transmit them to other clubs, or we also already had, unfortunately, to limit the admission. As a hobby football club in a town where the places where you can football are extremely limited, it's very hard to get a pitch as a hobby club. So we have to discuss with the local sports office. We are constantly looking for coaches and helpers, as said by Noemi in the previous presentation. It's always a question of manpower, financial support, and things like that. So we have this we have the same problems, the same things we have to take care of, and Yeah, so there are many other, let's say, challenges, and we always find a solution, except for the fluctuation, which is due to change of location, change of club, or sometimes, unfortunately, expulsion from Germany. So there is really no solution. But usually we try to find, and we find a solution for these things. And I think now is the last slide, because I have 2 minutes left. Ho ho! So I could keep talking until the cows come home, but with my 2 minutes left, I take this opportunity to thank you all for your interest and attention, and I will of course be happy to answer questions later in the discussion round. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Vielen Dank. It was a great presentation. So I really think that you are going to have a lot of questions. We saw some of them on the chat. Please just stay tuned, because we are going to do at the end. But not to get more time, we're going to go directly to the next one, and then we're going to have a little more time to discuss together. Thank you very much, Stefan. That's the floor for Daniela Conti. Daniela, ciao, buongiorno. Hi, can you hear us?
Could you hear me?
Non ti vediamo, ma te... sì.
Non so perché, ma la mia telecamera non si attiva.
No, we have some problems with the audio.
You can hear me?
No, very bad, Daniela. Can you please try?
Okay, because I don't know why, but it seems that I'm having problems. Could you hear me now better?
No, again, the same problem.
Okay, I don't know what to do, because we just tried before and everything was okay.
Daniela, maybe
better now?
No, again the same problem.
Cannot hear me.
Maybe what you can do is to try again to connect and reconnect. And in the meantime, we can give the floor to the next presenter, so we don't spend or to give more.
Yeah. Could you hear me better now?
Because we hear you very bad.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to try that. Thank you, Daniela. Not a problem. We're going to do with that. It's just 2 minutes. Désolé. Yes, 2 secondes. Gabriela, are you ready? Bonjour.
Ready. Hi, good afternoon. It's really nice.
You're going to change. We're going to switch in the meantime, so to try to see if we can solve these technical problems. So we have your presentation. Can you see that, the presentation?
Yes, absolutely. We can start. I'm very happy to present to you our project, Combating Hate Speech in Sport. And because we want to move from hate speech in sport to improving the respect that the athletes and the communities are getting, we have a motto for our project that is sport spreads respect. And so I'm going to briefly introduce you to the objectives of our project and what we did so far. So the next slide is going to present you briefly that. I'm sorry that we need to go through this instead of me projecting and changing the slides. It's just simply because I am in a remote area and I don't know if the internet is reliable. So if you can change the slide, that would be perfect. Thank you. So I'm very happy that I'm part of this presentation because we were able to hear today from different speakers, and our project is co-funded by the European Union and by the Council of Europe. So as a Council of Europe Sport Division, we provide technical assistance to public authorities in several countries that you have as well in your project. So we are precisely working in France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Montenegro, and Spain. So our main stakeholders are the ministries of sport, and in Germany, the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And we are hoping through this project, and we are working very sustaining our intention to make a difference. What we did so far since last year, we started in January 2022. So we set up a network of cooperation for the project implementation. So we have national coordinators in each of these partner governments. We have defined a common understanding of what is hate speech in sport and some definitions, because the language is different in all these countries and because the understanding and the cultural aspects are different from one country to another. We are trying to understand the main challenges that each country is facing to address hate speech in sport. And together with our major stakeholders, we agreed on the next steps and we set up a project calendar. And as part of this calendar, so far, we prepared, similar to what you did with your study, we understood the state of play in these countries through fact sheets and good practices in each of these countries. We discussed them with stakeholders and we presented among the countries each fact sheet for debate and for understanding during online workshops. And we had these online workshops in October last year, in February, and just had the last one with Italy a week ago. We are facing a little bit of delays in the implementation due to political issues in different countries, elections in Italy, certain political situation in Montenegro. So what we are trying to do in Montenegro, we are trying to use the experience in the other countries and do some 360 degrees peer review so that we can fast track the state of play and evaluation with the stakeholders. The next slide, please. What we understand so far is the current state of play and what are the efforts in each country. And here, the efforts, when we see from the central government, it's not necessarily the whole image down to the grassroots level. So we try to involve as many stakeholders as possible. So we asked our national partners to have stakeholders consultations and to present the state of play directly in the as a result of the direct discussions with the stakeholders. So the image that we have right now is trying to reflect as much as possible all the levels, from governmental level to federations, to clubs, to coaches, to going through athletes and referees. I said coaches, media, and we have sponsors and universities that are still another category of stakeholders that has not been involved so far in other projects. We also look at the European policy context and the instruments and solutions that have been already on the market and can be used as support and as reference during our project. So we look at the newest Committee of Ministers recommendations from the Council of Europe. We look at the work of our bodies that are looking at different issues with related to racism and hate speech. We're looking at different conventions and partners that the Council of Europe and the European Union already have that are very active in this subject. And we also know that it's very important to look at the relevant personal experience and practices from athletes, from Olympic and Paralympic athletes, especially from professional players, from referees, journalists, coaches, and from different networks and international federations and international associations. And all this pool of resources can be seen on our website, and I gave you the details of our website where you can look for more information if you need details. And of course, you can contact me and I will be happy to provide you with information. Next slide, please. What we learned so far from this wealth of expertise, we understood that this topic, hate speech in sport generically, is a very diverse and a very complex topic. We understood from the various countries and national partners that there is no miracle recipe. And mostly that we are working with very sensitive issues, both at political level, but also at the personal level. And that's why it's very important to establish this confidence environment where people feel about talking about this subject, because sometimes most of the things are not reported. People do not easily open up to speak about what they are confronted with. We also acknowledge that we have a great responsibility to face and to tackle this challenge, because we see that we created some expectations, and it's such a complex issue that we need to create an environment where all stakeholders see that they are seen and heard, then they are involved in the next steps, and we ensure sustainability. It's not just a one-step project and not on a definite duration. This is a project and this is an issue that needs to be solved over several years. We also saw that there are many approaches, many measures and practices in each partner country, and that's why we use this the value of the transversality among the countries that are participating in our project. And also we saw that there are many policy achievements that we can build on. There is a great expertise available, and the lived experiences, of course, it's very regrettable that we still face, and this phenomenon is increasing. But we see that we have a wide diversity of fields, and the stakeholders expressed their experience in certain fields. We can bring this together and we can create change by creating something new with a significant impact. Our project, we understood that it's perfectly illustrating the role of sport as one of the leading policy fields for promoting human rights, diversity, inclusion, and respect. And as you have mentioned previously, we're not looking just to have the project in sport. We're looking to have achievements and to look at what's possible to be done through sport. The project is actually illustrating perfectly the role of sport, and that's what matters. So we are looking at higher impact, sports power to produce profound societal changes. We look at stakeholders and people willing to commit to face this phenomenon and to find solutions. And of course, we're doing this together as an alliance of stakeholders, changing from looking at the hate speech in sport towards sport spreading respect. Next slide, please. So what are we doing? Because we're looking at a holistic approach. We saw that when we're working with different stakeholders, certain people, teams, federations, associations, ministries, they are working in silos. So in different sports, everybody's working towards the same objective. But what we're trying to do, we are trying to encourage sharing information, and we are aiming at generating opportunities to make a difference as a societal change by working together and having this holistic approach. We see that as increasing amounts of data are generated, it is more and more important to be able to share this across the project lifecycle. And whether it is through appropriate structuring and standardization of this kind of data analysis, or either we are looking at unstructured data regarding hate speech in sport. We have also the experience of looking at empirical studies and trying to find conclusions based on that. But more than that, we're looking to find methodological approach and how to be able to put all this data together and not only generalize and lead to conclusions, but also to look at the specificities. We also look at stakeholders as the experts in this project. And in order to influence the change, we need them to make this change sustainable. So what we saw, we started like you did, looking at football, like the most impacted by this phenomenon. But actually, we saw that this phenomenon is taking place in all sports, at all levels, and at all ages. This is very impressive, because we did not think that it would be so important among children, but it's a cruel truth. And so as this great expertise becomes available with the lived experiences, we hope that from all this wide diversity of fields, we can bring together the change so that we can have an important role in the prevention, in penalizing, but also finding restorative measures, and also in the rehabilitation of those who are speaking and promoting hate in sport. Next slide, please. How do we do this? We are trying to promote constant change and promote impact, as sport is very powerful. And I saw that in your presentations that this comes very clear. And I'm very happy for your presentation from Germany. I look forward to the presentation from Italy. We are trying to embrace transparency in facing these challenges. And so we promoted very interesting conversations with people who really care about how to solve this sensitive issue. And we were very pleasantly surprised to see that all the stakeholders, each probably in the beginning were a little bit skeptical, but then seeing that we face similar challenges and we talk in transparency about how to do it, then people and stakeholders started to open up and to find solutions. What we are trying to do through the project is also to be, what's very important for us is to be accountable for our stakeholders and for our partners. And this gives us the opportunity to showcase new ways of doing things, to share this kind of new experiences, and to lead the path forward. We understood that this project is the first project addressing hate speech in sport. And we are looking at the initiation of a resource center through our project that will showcase country state studies, and we will inspire the others through the different practices in each country. And as a very interesting change in our project, we saw that there are so many important practices that can be exchanged, that we think that resource center can reflect in real time, as long as we find out about new good practices. So it's going to be a living creature and will not stop after a few case studies or a few examples. So that will be also very ambitious on our side. We are very aware of that. So what we do and how we do it, our approach is a top-down approach, and we support to encourage this innovation, to keep people accountable, to have the collective vision and make strategic decisions going from the governmental level down to the grassroots level, and also from bottom up, because we know that the grassroots influence is important, and especially with the younger generation. So what we want to create is an environment for people to ask each other, how can I become involved? And that's why today we are presenting our project. I am presenting our project to you, because I see a lot of experience from the grassroots level that it's coming up and could be very beneficial for us, and our experience could be beneficial for you. Next slide, please. So what we can do to ensure the visibility and to ensure that all the voices in our project are heard and seen, We promote through our meetings, the Council of Europe meetings, examples, concrete examples, and we participate with presentations and with our partners' presence in different high-level meetings. So we had the 17th Council of Europe Conference of Ministers responsible for sport in October 2022. And so we had interventions of the role of inclusive sport and presentations of our project from Spain and Italy. In November, we had the Human Rights Forum, and as it was a hybrid meeting, we had an update and we had athletes speaking about our project and some of their cases. We had some practical aspects brought from Greece and Spain. In 2023, we're looking at promoting this kind of voices through the meetings of EPAS and Saint-Denis Convention and also the Macolin Convention. And in April, we will have a conference on protecting and promoting the human rights of transgender and intersex athletes in sport. And so we will have also that area from our project revealed in the conference and discussed. And we will also have a workshop to discuss the tools and to create this kind of tools together with my colleagues. So with the next slide, we're trying to look at the next steps. So far, we have prepared our partners prepared the country fact sheets presenting the state of play in their country. And we look at this for a very specific reason, because we want to have an evaluation with the stakeholders to understand what's needed in terms of strategic approaches in each of the countries. So this is going to be a discussion in April on how to adopt strategies that are solving the challenges that have been already identified. We will provide guidance to the governments to elaborate the national strategies for preventing hate speech in sport. As I said, we will set up an online resource center, and we will, as part of the strategies, we will, together with the stakeholders, we will design and implement a campaign that will address hate speech in sport. And we're looking at educational activities, trainings, and customized tools to be used so that the stakeholders can increase their capacity to prevent and address hate speech. We are planning also to raise awareness. And we look at the power of sport for a positive change in the society. Next slide, please. So as we are here together, we look at what can we do together. We saw we have 5 partner countries in common. So we can, from what I see, and I need your confirmation, your feedback, maybe we can use some exchange of practices coming from stakeholders, from your communities, and the roles in combating, in preventing, and elaborating punitive measures, but also what are and could be the restorative practices. Then we have a map of challenges that which need to be addressed, but we will look at, we think that it could be beneficial if we can see from your side what challenges you feel that need to be addressed. And of course, perhaps share some useful contacts. And I finalize my presentation with a question to you, so that it will be important for us to understand what you would see beneficial for our future activities. And I think that with this, I finished my presentation. I think, yes. So these are my contacts and the website that I just mentioned. We also have Twitter account for our sport department. And I think that I put on some of my conclusions, and yes, I noticed from the previous presentation of the study, first, for me a pleasure to see that company in France called Trimaran and their project that is reflected, because we have met them as well in France. As a result of the study, you mentioned that there are 0% of activities by professional and amateur athletes and activists. And I'm very interested to see how can you get more information, because this 0% does not mean that these don't exist, or probably it means that we are not, we can't reach those that are doing it, or these are not easily to be reported. So I would challenge you to look into this as well. So I think that this is my time now, and it's time for you to Italy. I hope, Daniela Conti, that you are able to connect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. It was a very interesting speech. We have a lot of information. Maybe we are going to try to connect. We have more information. It's okay for you to connect. Okay. Your connection. Because we have some technical problems with Daniela. We're trying to.
You hear me?
Ouais, maintenant c'est bon.
C'est bon. C'est merveilleux.
She's not my Olivar. She's Daniela Conti. I tried to change the name again. I think because of your link. Yeah, it's not a problem. I'm going to try to change as fast as possible.
Don't worry.
Just to try, it's not just to get into a hurry, but it's true that we have overread some of the timing. So if we can respect the time as much as possible, please. 15 minutes, because we are a lot of people which is connected right now. I just receiving photos from Tenerife, from Bilbao, and many people out there, and it's very, very important to give them also the floor, so to ask them the questions. Again, it's just the beginning. We are going to have more time for discussion in the local seminars, but yeah, we're going to try to do that.
May I use my slides?
Yep. I'm going to try that.
If it's possible.
Okay. I'm just changing your name. You have your own name. That's it. Is okay.
Yeah.
For you to share your screen, please. Can you share it?
No, you have to habilitate me. I'm so sorry for this inconvenience. As usual, we try in advance the things, and then technology, it's very strange. It doesn't work. But if it's a problem, you can share my slides. I will follow on my own.
Normally, Daniela, you can share it now. No, you're a panelist.
Don't worry. You can share for me.
Okay.
Sometimes happen.
So sorry, because I didn't know that, but we have your presentation anyway. I get it. Maybe I do my best, but it is not possible. We cannot do that. Yeah.
Don't worry. It's okay. We can solve another way. We are very flexible. We do sport, so we're used to do it.
Just 1 minute, please. And I give you the floor. Sorry for that. Yeah. So I give here, and then I'll share your presentation right now. I think it's okay. Afficher en mode non, mais pas ça. Voilà. Mode plein écran. You're okay. C'est Daniela.
Yeah, I start.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you really very much, and I'm so sorry for this inconvenience, but we will go on. And I'm very happy to be with you, and very congratulations to your project and to Stefan presentation. And I'm happy to see again, even virtually this time, Gabriela that came in Italy. So I will try to show our strategy to work in sports for interculturality. Just a presentation, please, next slides, of who we are. WISP is the Italian Sport for All Association, and our goal we are big and we are very old, as you can see. So we do a lot of things, but just to say you that our main goal is to extend everyone the right to practice sport. For us, is so much important. Sometimes the sport, when we talk about sport, we think about football, as you show in your presentation, and high-level sport. We want to work with grassroots. Of course, we love professional sport, but there's the right for everybody to move, even migrants, to migrate from one state to another, but practice the physical activities. And we want to work, of course, for human rights. Next slide, please. So we are a national association, as you can see, and we work local with in all the main town and region. We work on sport, of course, and this year we got over 900,000 members. Before COVID, we were many more, but we will try to be bigger again. Next slide, please. Now I want to talk about our strategy in working in discrimination in sport. And I have to say that we really have to thank the possibility we had to work in many international projects, especially with the European Commission one, because we just understand better the strategy that we have to do to work in this specific sector. So the main focus is on local, because it's where we find the target and where we've got the sport activities, our sport clubs and other associations. But working in this specific topic with social sport, it's so important to work for community projects. That means to have different stakeholders. Sport cannot solve alone the problem of discrimination in sport. You have to work with other organizations. So we work with refugee welcome center, asylum seeker center, or migrant community, the disability association, LGBTQI+ community, anti-violence center for women, and so on and so on. In prisons, for example, in many towns, we work in prisons. And that's because it's important to talk with people who know which are the specific needs of specific group. We work with municipality. That's important, of course, for funds, but not only, because as we see in the Getafe presentation, the municipality can do a lot, and so we try to work in advocacy with them in order to push up in their political agenda this topic. At the national and international level, that is the level where I work more. We work on I can say on a sort of research mode, because we want to present our raising awareness campaign. We train our coaches as sport manager. We organize events. Again, we do advocacy work on our national government. On international level, it's quite the same, but it's important to say that working in international projects, we got the possibility to exchange good practices. And it's very much important, because in this way, we can really understand how to compose the different projects that sometimes are similar, but we can profit one each other. Next slide, please. So what we learned, that's our lesson learned, but I hope that you can fit also for you. First of all, knowledge and networking. It's so much important to understand the phenomena in our country and in Europe. And for doing this, we need research. We need to work with university and research center and to exchange ideas. We are the people who do, and you, university, are the people who study. So composed together, we can really understand how to improve our work. Networking, that's the key really point. Working at all levels with different stakeholders and policymakers. Only in this way we can do something very good for improving our work. Understanding targets, I will show some example later, but it's important to remember that the rules of sport has been made by us. They are not written on the rockets, and so we can change and adapt them to the different group to be more inclusive. It has been done for money. For example, in tennis, they introduced a tie break to shorten the match for the TV. So why not we don't do it for be more inclusive? Another recommendation when we work, especially with refugees, they are persons, not victims. They are victims, of course, and we know very well, especially in these weeks in the Mediterranean. We share with Spain our being the door of the Europe, but we got also the Balkan path. So, of course, in this case, there are victims, but before there are persons with competence, inspiration, dreams, and stories. Training is really important to work with sport managers, coaches, referees, and the SCORE project has shown some example with sport journalists. We work with them and with schools to talk about non-discriminatory languages and non-discriminatory activities. Sport is not per se anti-racist. Sport is like society. We can say that it's not inclusive, only one can win. Of course, it's an hyperbole, but it's how we think about sport that become inclusive and a place for socialization. Awareness, anti-racist tournament and awareness campaign are important to talk with our public, to stimulate them in reflecting on stereotype and prejudice. Next slide, please. Some example of what I'm talking about. We are closing this project recently, and we are starting another one that is called Monitora for the Erasmus Plus Sport program. And it's about monitoring. It doesn't exist an European observatory of discrimination in sport. There are some observatories. We got one in Italy. We just started with this project. There are some observatory in Football Federation, but there's none that talk really about how much deep is the phenomenon. Being underreported means not be visible, not helping the victims of discrimination. It's not easy. We fail sometimes when we propose this project, but it's important we start talking about this as the SCORE project is doing in this moment. Networking, we got this platform, is open, you can use it. Is about working with refugees through sport. You can find also some e-learning courses. So it's a way to meet other organizations, not only sport one, local authority and international authority, and talking about how to improve our work on refugees. Next slide, please. Understanding the target. That's an example about the women's swimming pool. It's not a ghetto. We don't want to put all the women in the same pool because we want to close up the problem, but because there's a request of Muslim women who asked 13 years ago to have the possibility to swim. And then it becomes a place for women in which, for example, old women, they don't like anymore their body, they do sport together with the other, or women with food disorder. Sometimes it's difficult to show your body when it's too thin. But we think about also women who were abused physically and psychologically. It's difficult to come back in doing sport with other people. So we create a swimming pool with kindergarten for the kids, and where women can know each other and overwhelm their problem one each other. And then we create other community because these women bring their family in meeting together. So we create friendships. Some of the girls, especially the Muslim girls, asking us many other things. We want to be part of the organization. We want to be inspired, new projects and new activities. Training course we talk about, and there's also other example you propose. This is one from one of our local committee. We trained some asylum seekers in becoming multi-sport educators in summer camps, or organizer of walking for elderly people. So it's a way to cooperate, and we do in cooperation with many stakeholders. Next slide, please. So raising awareness, and that's the Mondiali Antirazzisti, the main topic. It should be the main topic, but it arrived at the end because, first of all, we had to stop this event for COVID, and we are planning to be back again. We don't know exactly when. It's difficult to organize. You can see the number. We got 23 editions with many, many people. But what I want to focus my attention on is that this event was being considered by the journalists like the Woodstock of sport as a simple receipts. We put together everybody. So no difference of gender, age, ability in doing activity. We talked about very inconvenient topic, especially if you think 25 now years ago, talking about gay and lesbian and transgender was very, very difficult in sport. So we try to open the discussion. We bring prisoners in our edition, and we bring teams in prison in order to know each other. And the Mondiali Antirazzisti was just a place, a sort of laboratory in which different organizations, not only sport clubs, but also friends or association like Médecins Sans Frontières, just came to be relaxed, to play together with new rules, but to know new people and maybe to think about new projects. From the Mondiali, we got a lot of examples of new projects, new anti-racist activity. They came out, and we hope to come back, but this is just an inspiration of what we have to do in order to talk with people. Stereotypes and prejudice, it's under everybody. It's inside us because it's so much difficult sometimes to deal with diversity. So we try to go on this activities in all our country. Please, the next slides. I just give you and leave you some link. This is a documentary we did in Riace. Riace is nearby Cutro, where we got this terrible things happen 2 weeks ago. And it considered the land of welcome for an inspiration on history. And in this case was the mayor who invented a new system of welcome, that is the welcome people in the not use anymore houses. Riace is a very small village, and how many villages in Italy and in other parts of the world become only the village for old people. Many houses was empty, and he decided to give these houses to refugees. In this way, this small village became a symbol of welcoming. So we go there with our Mondiali and we register with this documentary. And I just finish. I don't show you. I was preparing for you a video, but it's too long. So I want to leave the space for the discussion, but please feel free to follow our pages, because this video is about 3 stories of discrimination in sports. And today we launched the teaser exactly for the International Day of Racial Discrimination, but the video will be ready online next weeks. So thanks a lot, and I hope I stay in my 15 minutes. Thanks, Noemi, and thanks.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Grazie. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Stefan and Daniela and Gabriela, for your intervention. It was a very incredible presentation. We have a lot of information. You just noted a lot of things and ideas. Maybe we don't have all the time in the world to discuss. We have already in a little out of time, but still we are going to give us the time for discussion. So next to me we have Pim Verschuren and Julien Pech. We're going to do the discussion on the roundtable. And yes, going to put you the slides. So you want to start?
Okay, thank you all of you three for your presentation. It was not easy to present many years and projects in just 15 minutes. So I'm Julien Pech. I'm a PhD candidate at VIPS laboratory, and I take also part to the SCORE project. I'm with Pim Verschuren, who is associate professor also at the VIPS laboratory, and we are going to conduct the round table during 30 minutes. In the public here at University of Rennes 2 or in the chat, feel free to ask some question if you want. We are going to begin with maybe a question for all of you three, and then in a second time we will ask some question from the chat and from the university. We begin with our question. As the aim of the SCORE project is to create a local coalition at European level, and you three take part to project that we can call good practice using sport to fight against racism. My first question will be, how do you collaborate at local level with the municipalities? For example, in Germany, in Mainz, do you have projects with the city of Mainz to fight against racism? Or in Italy, does UESP collaborate with cities, maybe with big cities in Milano, Torino, or with smaller city? And Gabriela, at Council of Europe, do you collaborate also with municipalities of or European cities? My second question is more for Daniela and Stefan. In Italy and in Germany, how do you perceive the engagement of sport clubs at local level? Do you think UESP or Ente Baghdad in Mainz are exception? In the sport system, do you consider you as exception as you fight against racism? Or do you consider that at this local level, many other associations also fight against racism? So are you alone, or do you collaborate, or do you feel that other sport clubs fight also against racism? So maybe Pim can ask also one or two questions, and then you can begin a first round of answer.
Hello, everyone. I don't think we have any other questions yet. Thank you to you three for the intervention that we listened to very closely. I just have we already have many questions asked. Just one question is regarding the difficulty it can be to engage in such challenging projects, fighting racism, fighting discrimination or hate speech, and especially in the current political context. And sometimes we see in Europe that the climate is not really favorable to such kind of projects, especially at grassroots level. So could you please provide us with maybe one success factor, something that a little trick that you can implement at local level to ensure engagement of local participants, local clubs, municipalities, and to contribute to the success of such kind of integration projects? So just little tricks, because in the audience, I think we have many people engaged already in such kind of projects, and they could be interested in having some advice coming from your experience. Thank you.
I think Stefan wants to begin.
Yes, I will start. That was a lot of questions. I try to answer them one by one. So in our hometown in Mainz in Germany, central Germany, we have very good relationship with the local administrations. They have an integration office, they have a volunteers office and things like that. And as we are very active since many, many years or even decades, we have achieved quite a good reputation locally, regionally, and even on a national level. So that works quite well. However, it is a constant fight against windmills, if I might say, because it's not only our daily work, but it's also keeping the contacts and supporting the local and regional administrations. We always have to drill really thick wood because we have a certain idea of how things should work, but that does not always correspond to the way the administration works. Almost never. So we have to find a way together with them, and in most situations that works out quite okay, I would say. Second questions about other clubs like ours. Fortunately, yeah, there are other clubs, other associations, sport associations. There are also others who are just the opposite of what we do, and they don't want to integrate refugees. They are against foreign people and things like that. We know that it's as it is in the whole country. It's about 20% of people who just are on that trip, on that nationalist trip. So, yeah, we have these clubs, we have these associations locally, and as I already said earlier in my presentation, we have the privilege of an extremely good contact to our local Bundesliga club, Mainz 05. And these people, they are highly committed to our ideas as well. So anti-racism, anti-Semitism, and anti-Ziganism, and all these things. So that is the way that we can spread our message and their message together. We have quite some good relationship to other clubs, and we also organize events together. We have friendly matches if it's a football club and things like that. So that works quite well. I know it's not like that in every region in Germany. There are other regions where it is much more difficult, but we are in the happy situation in Mainz that we have these clubs around us. And the last question, how can we support or initiate the commitment, the engagement of others? Do you have some tricks? I don't have a one solution for all. It's always an individual approach. It is also, for example, as I just said, planning, organizing, initiating events together, so that other people, other clubs, other associations do their thing, and we do ours. And so we try to approach them, we try to convince them, or to show them that it's worth to do all these things. And yeah, there is no real trick. I mean, we have the advantage to have that 50 years experience and that 50 years reputation. That helps a lot. And but it's really not. Yeah, it's work that needs a lot of energy and takes a lot of time. So there is no real trick, but the only thing I can say, stay friendly, be friendly, and try to get in touch with these people on a, let's say, on a neutral level, and then show them that things could go differently than they think. That's it from my side. Sorry for the long speech, but there
Okay,
was.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for sharing your experiences in mines. Maybe we'll come back with some other question, but for the moment, I think Gabriela and Daniela want to answer the first question.
Yes, it is a pleasure to answer to these questions, because some of them we have been asked ourselves. We've been asking ourselves. So first of all, about local partners, we indirectly work with local partners because we work with the national coordination, and they are directly working with clubs at local level, federations and coaches and athletes. And I'm not very sure about local communities. So that's why I think that it's an important point to make in our future recommendations about how to work with local communities. And here I think that we can cooperate so that we can reflect your conclusions about how to work with local levels, with local communities. Sorry about my video. Okay, my network is quite unstable, so that's why I apologize. So, can you see me? Because you're asking me to start the video, and I can see that my video is working, but I can't really know what you see.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, great, thanks. Yes, the engagement at local level is desired, and we will make this recommendation to our national partners for sure. It is indeed difficult to engage in the current political situation, and especially for us, it's been very challenging to work with elections coming, with elections in 2 countries and the third one coming. So to respect it's challenging to respect our timeline and our activities, knowing that our projects are for 2 years like yours, and knowing that we want to become sustainable in quite a short time. So the most important conclusion for us is that we need to work as hard as possible to ensure the sustainability and to ensure to the stakeholders that they are seen and they have a voice that is heard, and that they are part of the process, and they are consulted. They are going to be consulted for the elaboration of the strategy before our workshop on developing the strategies, and before the work, they are consulted on the most important priorities for them. Then another tip that we can share with you is that we need to be very flexible. So we have an ambitious timeline. We have had enormous confidence that we can work on the pace that we initially estimated and set up in our calendar. But we needed to adjust it to our local partners' availability. And knowing that everybody is so committed, it became easier to adjust. And not to say, of course, not now we like the work in one of the countries, for instance, we need to adjust our methods and to find new methods to be able to assist them in the rhythm that they can achieve. And that's a challenge for us. It's not easy to be adaptable when you have so many countries and so many partners, and in your case as well. But I think it pays off and it's worth looking at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. Maybe Daniela, you want to answer the question?
Yes. So try to be very fast. Collaboration with municipality, absolutely yes. Everywhere is possible. We try to have a collaboration with municipalities. And we don't care if it's a big city or a small city, but it's really important to talk with them. Sometimes there's a very cooperative collaboration in which the municipality provide us also services or funds or we can really exchange and create a project together. In some cases, just inform the municipality of the events or activities. Now in Italy, we go a new legislation for the third sector that obliged municipality and organization, social, civil association to do project together, so to co-projecting the activity on the territory. We've got a lot of sport clubs in Italy that do, fortunately, this kind of activities. We've got association very similar to the one described by Stefan. Italian sports system is a mess. I don't say anything about it. But we are lots of sport organizations that start doing activity, and fortunately, some of the Italian federations start also trying to knock down the wall of discrimination in professional sports, because, for example, refugees are not very welcome in becoming member in the professional federation. The Rugby Federation is doing a very beautiful work in this sense. And successful factor is very difficult. You talk about political climate. Now in Italy is very difficult. My association as a first article of the statute, we are an anti-fascist, anti-racist, anti-discrimination and against xenophobia association. So you can imagine that it's in this moment the political climate in Italy is not very welcome for us, but it's important never stand back, always being proactive, always present your idea and talking also with people don't think exactly what you think, because this is the only way to overwhelm stereotypes. So you have to find your way to adapt the project on your context, seeing which are the real needs of the context, and doing with all the stakeholders possible. So talking with everybody, and of course, another things to think is the sustainability of the project, and that's another point very much important. Sometimes at local level, this is the very hardest things to do. Thanks.
Thank you very much to you three for your full and rich answers. Just to conclude, we have a last set of questions, so we keep you some more minutes with us. Thank you very much in advance. For Daniela and Stefan, we wanted to know, did you already participate to some experiences of exchanging good practices among several projects? Do you have any recommendations on how we could further develop the exchanges of practices between projects? And to Gabriela, the question of the evaluation, because we identified in a questionnaire of the SCORE project that very few projects conduct an evaluation of their impact. Do you issue with your national strategies and dialogue some recommendations regarding evaluation of the projects? Is it more qualitative or quantitative, or any other type of evaluation that you would recommend? Thank you very much.
Oh, difficult question. Starting from exchange good practices, in your project, you really find a lot of good practices. Sometimes it's so difficult because there are very, very good projects, and so the risk is to be too many. So the overwhelm of ideas projects can be confused. I think that there's no a real way to judge. Judge is a very horrible words, but to understand what is interesting for us. So my advice is just to concentrate on some part. So which is the real goal, what we want to achieve with our projects, who could be real good practices for us, for our project. That doesn't mean that the other things are not interesting, but for example, what I present now to you is just our experience. Maybe some of the projects we follow are not interesting for you. So just to be concentrated in finding 2, 3 indicators that can help each of us to understand which are a good practices for me. It's fantastic, the website, that's very useful and giving the possibility of the people to choose following different indicators, could be the country, could be the topic, but this is really interesting for me to analyze. Concerning the evaluation, that's a real problem sometimes. I don't know in the other country, but here in Italy, evaluation is still a problem, because sometimes thinks that evaluation is like to be in school, is a mark. It's not a mark. Evaluation, it's so much important to understand where we failed, because we can fail. If we do project, we have to put also on the table the fact that the project couldn't be perfect, and where we were very successful. Doing evaluation, it's very, very hard, and I think that it's important to compose the two components. It should be quantitative, especially if you want to create a questionnaire of evaluation with people. The many people you can listen, the much you help you in evaluate a concrete action. But I think that we have to have very strong indicator for analyzing the quality, because if we talk about social sports, sometimes quantity is not relevant. For example, we work in prison. We know that many ex-prisoners, when they go out, there's 1, 2 who came in our activities, who continue to do sport with us. The majority of them come back in their criminal life. And this is not about us sport, but it's about society. So sometimes one for us is a winning project. But if we talk about, for example, inclusion of kids in the school, the number should be high, because school is something that it's a right for everybody in Italy, and I think in all over Europe. So it depends. We have to build up our indicators in a very accurate way, and never think that only the number defines the success of a project. And that's my answer.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Maybe Gabriela and Stefan, if you want to answer maybe more quickly, because we are going to finish soon.
Yes, I will be very quick. I agree with you, Daniela, about having quantitative information not always relevant, and we look for qualitative information. We are also conscious that the empirical studies can be misleading, and so we look for ways to cooperate with other partners so that the studies can be more methodological and can present, we look beyond just the responses. We also understood from our partners that generalizing can destroy the meaningfulness of specificities. And we are trying to become very specialized on different topics at different levels, so that we, by generalizing, we don't forget some of the actors and some of the specificities that are really, really meaningful. And another thing that you said, Daniela, and I'm confirming, in our project, we did not interpret anything as a failure. We are trying to look at the challenges and to find solutions, because everything that seems initially as a failure has a lesson to draw from. And for us, it's important to pay attention to that lesson and to see how we can look for a solution and what can we bring out of that circumstance. I think that that's it. I hope I was short enough. Thanks.
Thank you, Gabriela.
I will try to be as short as Gabriela. Coming back to the first question about experience, yes, we do have experience on a national level as well as on an international level since quite some time. We've been, or I've been in Nantes in France a few years ago with the sports and citizenship We have contacts in Italy. We have contacts in Greece. We have contacts to the Premier League in England. We have contacts in Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and things like that. So yes, we are quite active in that way. And for recommendations for exchange, well, it's networking. We do it with a so-called sandwich approach, which is top down and bottom up. So we are looking for the associations or the organizations that can help or that are interesting. And to get in touch with these organizations or with their projects, well, I can just tell you, stay curious, keep your eyes and your ears open, and I don't know, watch TV, look on social networks, internet, even the newspaper sometimes helps you. So you always find organizations, clubs, people doing something that might be interesting for you, and then get in touch with them, try to integrate them in your network, exchange and discuss, and that's it. Short enough.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. Thank you all of three for sharing your experiences. I think it was very interesting and very inspiring, also for auditors in the public. So vielen Dank, grazie mille, thank you very much. I let Noemi Garcia conclude this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Just can you hear me? Yeah. Just a few seconds before we start, because we have a little out of time. Thank you very much for the final message, Stefan. Thank you very much, Daniela and Gabriela, for all this insight. I think we have already understood a lot of the complexity, but also the possibilities, and this positive message at the end, I think, is quite inspiring. Just to finish with the information, so SCORE is just the beginning of this journey, as I told you before. We have next steps, the next working package of this project. They're going to hold local seminars and meetings in every country of the partners in April and May, so very, very soon. In France, nous avons déjà le 13 avril et le 31 mai, so 13 April and 31st of May. So stay tuned, because we are going to send you the information as quickly as possible. Then share your project. If you are one of the project leaders and you haven't answered to the survey yet, it is still possible, of course, because the idea of the map is still interactive, meaning that it's open to your programs to share more methodologies, more ideas to everyone. So yeah, the questionnaire, the survey is still open, of course. And then follow us, stay tuned, join us, join the SCORE team. We have a newsletter that you can register on the website, thescore.net. And also we are everywhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining us. I think it was very, very intense because of all the ideas and well, thank you, the team, the RENS team, and everyone who has made this possible. And see you very soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Merci.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks really a lot. Bye bye.
Ciao,
Bye
Gabriela.
bye. Au revoir tout le monde.
Tschüss. Ok. Avant de partir.
Good job,
Good job to you.